It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel. Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe's with us in the booth. You're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can catch us. And, of course, 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. And I want to hear from you in Heated Hotline. We get a lot of emails lately at corso.catone@gmail.com. You know, and listen, the emails are becoming better than they're better than the calls. So you people out there got to up the
phone calls. Yeah.
Bring it a little better on the calls.
Well, there's a couple of favorites that we usually get through phone calls, but they haven't called in a couple of weeks. They have to give us a call next week.
Well, we have an email from a favorite when we get into some things in Pats Nation. But yeah, give us a call, 855-313-PATS, PATS, 24/7. Leave us a message. Joe's going to pick one. Hopefully it's yours. So, gentlemen, how are we feeling today?
Hey.
Oh, it's good.
We're doing good, huh?
It's a week. The draft's in a week.
1 week. Very excited. Very excited. And you know what? We don't have too many segments tonight. We have Pats Nation. We're going to talk that draft a little bit. We're going to talk quarterbacks tonight. Quarterbacks on everybody's mind. And that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about a little bit of drama that happened this week, too. So stick around for that. Of course, Catone's comments. You never want to miss that. And playoff time, we're going to talk B's and C's and the playoffs for the Bruins and Celtics. So, guys, hey, let's get right into this thing with the draft. You ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Pats Nation, Joe. So, as Mark mentioned, 1 week from tonight, we're recording on Thursday. So 1 week from tonight, it's going to be round one of the NFL draft 2024. And this is kind of an uncharted territory because we're picking number 3 in the draft. That hasn't happened in, I don't even know, the Drew Bledsoe draft, maybe?
Yeah, that's it. Drew Bledsoe. Absolutely.
93, 92, 93.
Administration.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, actually. To George Bush, I think. So here we are picking at number 3, and we've been talking about wide receivers, offensive linemen, all these things we need, and now we're talking about the thing we really, really need, and we saved the best for last. We're talking quarterbacks now, Mark. Okay, and they have different options, and you're hearing all kinds of things about them trading out of that 3 spot, going to, with maybe the Giants, Minnesota. We'll cover some of that, but talking about these quarterbacks now, do we both agree that Caleb Williams is that's not going to be an option? I think everyone, Chicago, will probably take him.
Williams is, he's consensus number 1. That's not even a question.
So breaking him down is pointless here in the limited time that we have. But in order of how things seem to shape out is Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and we're going to talk Michael Penix a little bit because the Patriots hosted him, kind of a last-minute thing.
And Chris, I think they hosted him in case they do get a blow your mind off for the trade down. He would probably be somebody they would be like, okay, he's on the board. What do we think? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into these guys because if they're sitting at 3 and let's say Drake May gets drafted 2 by the Commanders and now we're sitting at 3, Jaden Daniels is sitting on the board, Mark. Talk about this kid.
Well, so obviously, Chris, he's an exceptional athlete. He runs like a 4.4, 4.5 40. He's 6'3", 6'4". They list him at 210 pounds. He's not 210 pounds, Chris. If he's 190 soaking wet, right? So he's definitely, they're saying he's 210. He's not 210. So he's going to have to get bigger and stronger, right? I think. But he's an exceptional athlete, all right? And the one thing he does have, Chris, is he has smooth footwork. And I know that's been a knock against Drake May is his footwork, right? Well, Daniels has good footwork. He has a real compact thrown motion. He's capable, Chris, of stepping up into motion, into pressure. So when they bring pressure, similar to what Brady used to do, this kid will step up into pressure, make a quick read, and he'll get rid of the ball. So he is good at that. Okay. he has a quick release. He can throw the ball downfield, right? He's got a good, strong arm, real strong arm. The thing with him, Chris, is he's experienced. He's experienced throwing the ball all over the field because of the receivers he had. And I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So he's capable, Chris, of making pretty much every throw. My issue with him is if you can keep him in the pocket, he struggles post snap from the pocket, Chris. If he's there long enough, making the correct read, where to go with the ball. He wants to move up. He wants to slide out. He wants to run out. If you keep him in the pocket, he is shown that he'll struggle. Who does that sound like?
Yeah, that sounds like Jackson, Lamar Jackson to me.
Okay, so he will struggle, Chris, if you can keep him there.
Although he's gotten better over the years, but yeah,
Lamar has. The problem was, Chris, teams couldn't do that to him. Why? Because he's got two top 15, top 10 wide receivers that he was throwing the ball to. So nobody could hold him.
Top 10 receivers. Like they're going to go in this top 10 probably.
So he didn't that teams couldn't force him into that because these guys would run wide open and then he could just get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
But the teams that could hold him in that pocket, he did struggle, Chris. So that at the NFL level, that could be a problem. The other thing, Chris, is so he has good footwork. He has a strong arm. But his lower half, Chris, he really doesn't use.
Yeah.
And as a quarterback, and I know you can really elaborate on this from when you used to do offense at when you were the head coach of a couple of your teams. His lower half, Chris, his lower body really isn't where it should be for an NFL quarterback, an elite NFL quarterback. So there's work to be done there. There's work to be done. No, and people keep saying, well, he had multiple 4-touchdown games, 400-yard games. Yeah, he did because look who he was throwing to. Very similar to Mac Jones at Alabama. All his stats were inflated. So you can't necessarily look at this kid's stats and say, oh, my God, he's off the charts good. Well, his two receivers were definitely off the charts good. So I guess, Chris, does he have the physical ability? Does he have a lot of positives? Yes, but there are question marks. And I'm going to go back to what you've been saying right along. There's probably if you're lucky, two of these guys hit, it's probably going to be one. And Daniels is one of these guys with question marks. And I know you're going to get into May, but he's an elite athlete. He can do elite things. He's not perfect. He has question marks. And two things that scare me, Chris, are the receivers he had. And if you can keep him in the pocket, it just reminded me, and I watched some film. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And believe me, he has a much stronger arm than Lamar Jackson did coming out of college. But it did remind me a little Jackson.
So, yeah, I mean, and is he going to fit the system? That's the other thing. Is he going to fit our system, and are we going to actually adjust to him, which is what should happen if you're going to take a kid like that, So if he's gone, Mark, okay, if he's gone, now Drake, so now you're looking at Drake May, and a lot of people have talked about Jay. I'll talk about those two guys because I want you to talk about Penix as well. So looking at Drake May, everybody's saying, okay, all along, he's going to be the number 3 pick. These are the top 3 guys. These are the top 3 guys. Here's my thing with Drake May. 6'4", 223 pounds, so he's got good size. For his size, he's good. He's a good athlete. He's got a lot of good athleticism. He rushed for 9 touchdowns. In addition to his 24 touchdowns throwing the ball, he threw for 3,600 yards. Now, he kind of had to take a lot on his shoulders last year. He had a couple of big injuries for his wide receiver group. Guys that we expected to play didn't play. Now, Devontae Walker ended up getting back into the lineup for him. But again, did a lot of things on his own. He honestly can make every throw. He's consistent in attacking downfield. That's the one thing with this guy. He's got a level arm strength. He can attack receivers down the field and get the ball to him with fair ease. Okay. And he's got a lot of poise, good instincts and accuracy to get the ball to the spot he wants to go. I mean, that's the one thing with this guy. He'll step into a throw, he'll see the spot he wants to go, and the accuracy is going to be there with him. I told you his numbers. I gave you his numbers. So I don't take much into the pro days. So I'm we talk about the pro days. They are what they are. And so when you look at his numbers, throughout the season, again, 260, he had 425 attempts, okay, for 3,600 yards. And there were games he threw 46 times, 48 times, 47 times, 400 yards, 300 yards with not that much talent. Now, look, the big knock to me is the opponents, who he's going against. Is he going against NFL talent every week? No, not like Jaden Daniels is, not like J.J. McCarthy is, who we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But so what does he need? He has lapses in judgment at times, okay, on some of the throws. And that's a big deal, okay? And he'll have this stagnancy for periods of time where he's inaccurate and he's not making good decisions and things like that. So that's something that affects his accuracy at times. And then he tends to look at, well, that's one thing I don't like. He tends to look at his first read. He looks down, stays down his first read. We know how that goes in the NFL. It doesn't work. So he's got a lot to do, but he's younger. I think he's going to be 22 when the season actually begins. So this is a kid that can sit on the bench for a year or two. He can. And I think the thing with this guy is if he reaches his ceiling, you got a top 5 to 10 quarterback if he reaches his ceiling. The problem is you don't know where the floor is here, with him. And that's the big issue. I mean, he's got all the ability of a Joe Burrow throwing the ball with Josh Allen mixed in his ability to move around, get outside the pocket.
So, Chris, would you say he's a better prospect than Mac Jones was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He has a higher ceiling to me.
Okay.
Too much was put into Mac Jones about his intelligence.
Yep.
And all that crap. And we saw that went. So that's that. That's that. To me, that's Drake May broken down. Okay. He could be a fan, But now, Mark, before we get to Penix, and real quick, we got to talk about J.J. McCarthy.
No, yeah, you have to, because it's been rumored that he's on the board.
And he's on the board, and I think, Ellie, the biggest problem with the Patriots right now is what you're hearing in that room is they're split. There's no consensus there, which is really concerning to me at this stage. Is it not?
No, the draft's in a week. Of course it is.
So one guy will make the pick. It'll be Elliott Wolf. I think he likes McCarthy, 6'3", 219 pounds, doesn't have as much size, right? Now, the thing with him is he's a winner. He wins games. He knows how to play in big games. He played against top-end talent. Completed 72% of his passes, was accurate to all levels of the field when he played. He was. He was what? Third in all of football in QBR rating. So again, he's going to complete. Here's the thing with J.J. McCarthy. This is what you need to know about him. If you want a top 15 quarterback, 15. If you want a guy that's like 10 to 15, this guy can probably be that. He's going to do what you ask him to do. But he doesn't have that ceiling like Drake May. He doesn't have that go to a different level, become a top 5 quarterback. This is not J.J. McCarthy.
Listen, McCarthy was a perfect quarterback for Belichick. If Belichick was still here,
right,
he would have loved a guy like this. He's a winner, will do whatever you tell him to do, will not make a mistake, won't try to force something. Belichick would have
100 fewer attempts he had than Drake May.
Yeah. But Belichick would have loved him, Chris.
Yeah, game manager. This is the guy. This is the guy that'll do what you want to do. He's not gonna light up the world. He'll be a top 15 quarterback, meaning 10 to 15. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay. I'm not okay with that. So I'm not okay with that.
All right.
So that's what I think of J.J. McCarthy, game manager, if you've ever seen one. Okay. Not to 3. You can't take this kid at 3. That's it.
Do you take him if you trade down to, say, 11 or 12?
Yeah, that's okay. Because as I said, I mean, I still don't even know if I do that. Because if you trade down to that spot, the next guy you're going to talk about should be somebody you're looking at in the 20s somewhere where you can move around. So talk about Michael Penix.
All right. Well, so you talked about the McCarthy and the fact that he's been in big games and he's won in big games. And the thing about Penix, Chris, is he exhibits in big games. I know he lost the Michigan game, but in every other big game in his career, especially at Washington, Chris, he exhibited elite field generalship. He excelled in dissecting defenses. He would come to the sideline, Chris, and tell his OC what he saw and tell the OC next time they show us this look, we need to go A, B, C. So he was dissecting, Chris, during the game and going back to the sidelines and actually doing things that you expect an NFL quarterback to do. He has great touch on, intermediate and over the top throws, Chris. He can lay the ball in between defenders. He has a gun in the red zone. In the game against Texas in that semifinal game for the national championship in the semis, he drilled the ball in between two guys, Chris. The window was so small, and he got it there. So he has that ability. He has that arm strength, Chris, and he has pocket mobility. He don't run like Daniels. He can't run out of the pocket like Drake May, and he's not going to run out of the pocket like Caleb Williams because of the knee injuries he's had. But he does have.
Is that a concern?
It's a concern. The knee injuries are a concern,
and I think that's
why Chris. And I think that's why Chris. He's not a top 10 pick, top 5 pick because of the injury concerns. He's 24 years old, but he does have pocket mobility, Chris, where he slides in the pocket to make throws. Okay, he will fit a modern NFL offense because he was used to, Chris, all that motion. Washington ran schemes similar to what Daniels runs down in Miami. There was constantly guys in motion. So he is capable, Chris, of running that style of an offense, a 2024 NFL offense. So that's.
He was sacked only 11. He was sacked 11 times and hit maybe only 21% of the time, 11th least in the NFL. That's his deal.
He also had some elite receivers.
Not bad. Yes.
He did have elite receivers too. I'll give him that. Now, the couple of things against him, Chris, number one is his age. You talk about upside with Drake May. Well, this kid's 24. So can you sit him on the bench for a year? And now he's 25 going on 26. So that's a concern with some NFL teams. If you don't think he's necessarily ready year one, well, he's already 24 years old. So that's a concern. If you study his throwing motion, Chris, it's a bit elongated. If you look at him, because he's a left-hander, and I should have mentioned that right off the top, he's a left-handed quarterback, Chris. So sometimes because of that elongated throwing motion, his arm mechanics force him to have a little bit slower release. And it gives defenders that split second to react. And you picked up on that in the Michigan game, Chris. You said, "Ooh, I'm a little concerned how that's going to play in the NFL," because in the Michigan game that happened a couple of times, and he gave him that split second where they broke up a pass where a receiver was open, and you're like, "Ooh, he should have made that play," right?
Because under pressure, he wasn't good. He wasn't that good when he had to face pressure.
He wasn't good in that game. He wasn't good in that game.
But when he had to face pressure all season, he wasn't that good. Well, Mark, he threw for almost 5,000 yards. He threw for 36 touchdowns and only 11 interceptions.
Listen, the kid's a leader. The kid's got an NFL arm, Chris. I think this kid's going to be an NFL starting quarterback. I would take him over J.J. McCarthy. If you said to me, Mark, they're both available at 12, who do you take? I take Michael Penix over J.J. McCarthy. That's just my opinion.
But the beauty, Mark, is that you don't have to take him at 11.
No.
So if you trade with Minnesota and you get the 11th to 23rd, say.
Well, now they're saying, Chris, though, he could go in the top 20. Now they're saying it's crazy. Now they're saying, now he's moving up draft boards, Chris. He's going to go in the top 20. Well, but then
you could still move, though. You could still move again.
You could still move.
You know? So I'd be very I'd be comfortable. I'd be okay with Penix, like you. I'd be okay with him. But if you give me McCarthy versus Drake May, I'm taking May.
Yes, I'm taking Drake May over McCarthy. You're right.
You're rolling the dice anyway.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be May that you're going to have to decide on because all signs point to Daniels now probably going to Washington.
Yeah. So here's what we'll do. Let's do this. We want to talk about some draft scenarios, right? If we don't trade, if we pick where we are, and just kind of go through the top 3. Like who do we want in those first 3 picks? Because and then maybe with a trade or 2. But before let's go to break, Joe. If we're ready to do that, let's go to break and then come back, talk about that, and then I want to talk about a little bit of the drama that happened this week. All right,
Okay.
Joe. So
Sounds good.
all right, so we come back. We're going to talk some trade situations. We're going to talk where we're picking and a little bit of drama, all that and more right after this.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's
crap?
it.
What is wrong with
Get him on this damn
you?
show.
Lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Okay, Mark, look, here's what we got. They don't trade the pick. They're going to stay at 3. They're not making these trades. Let's just assume they don't trade after that either. Let's just make it easy.
Okay, let's make it easy. Yep.
And I'm going to give you a scenario because I think we both if they pick at 3 to take a quarterback. Okay, they take Drake May. Just
Drake
as a
May.
okay.
Now, at 3, Chris, if he's there, you got to take May. Even though you and I want Marvin Harrison Jr., they're not going to do that.
Right. So they take the quarterback. Now you're sitting at 34. What are you doing for the next 2 picks?
Chris, I'm taking.
What are you doing? What are they doing?
Well, I'm taking a receiver at 2. I'm taking if McCarthy's there, McConkey. I'm taking McConkey, Lad McConkey if he's there out of Georgia. I don't know if he'll be there, but if he is, that's who I'm taking with the second pick, my second round pick. And
then the third, you taking a tackle?
My third pick will be a tackle, but I think they're going to do it in reverse. I think they're going to take the tackle with the second round pick, and I think they're going to take a receiver with the third round pick because Elliot Wolf today said he thought we had some NFL receivers in our receiver room.
My God, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't know what he's saying.
Him making that comment, Chris, that tells me he'll take the tackle in the second round,
like Mims
or so, and he'll take the receiver in the third round.
It's a mistake.
Oh, it's a definite
big mistake.
Because Chris, this draft is so deep. Picking your first pick in the second round is basically a first round wide receiver.
I agree.
So it's a big mistake not to take a receiver there.
Okay, so to me,
Chris, who's the tackle? I know you studied the tackles. If it's tackle in the second round, who is it?
I think it'll be Mims for them. Because that gives him he's probably got the highest grade at that spot. Where he's got good feet, he can shuffle back. He has good hands. He'll get on people's sticks to people. He can also do something in the run game, get out if he needs to, any type of that zone blocking or anything like that. You're not too worried about him, even though he's got size. You're not really worried too much about that. But I agree with you. You got to take a wide receiver at 2. So Mark, now let's say the trade happens. So let's say it's the Giants who trade. Okay. So now we get their 6th pick, and then we probably get there. We probably don't keep our 34th pick. Although I'm not sure, maybe I think we would. We get the 6th pick. We probably maybe get a second.
If you're giving them the third
we're
pick,
keeping on 34th.
So
So here we're picking 6th. So you Drake May's gone. If McCarthy's there, let's say he doesn't go 5th. He's sitting there. What do? You take him? Or do you say we're gonna move again? Or we're gonna take a wide out there.
I think. Well,
see, I'm taking Neighbors there. You like the other kid?
I'm taking. I think I'm taking an elite wide. Dunsey could be there too, Chris. You'd have to decide which one you want. You got to take. You take Neighbors, one of those guys there. I would take the receiver there.
Okay.
But then you're going to have to trade back into the second round, Chris, with that, because into the first round, because how are you going to get a quarterback? You got
the capital to do it.
Yeah. You'll have to come back up and take Penix.
You got the capital to do it. So to me, you do that. You trade back up you take Penix. Now you got Neighbors or Dunsey, and maybe Michael Penix. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. And then you fill in your roster, and you go out back there and you go get your tackle when you have to get your tackle.
At 5 or 6, you don't take the best tackle on the board.
You know what? I'm
just asking you.
You want to get me fired? You just want to piss me off tonight? Is this what you want to do? Well, Joe Alt, yeah, let's go. Let's take Alt. Notre Dame, yeah, great. Let's build your team around that.
I'm going to say this, Chris. Let me say this, Chris, quickly. If they take if they take May 3rd with the 3rd pick, they take the tackle, say Mims with the 34th pick, because you think that you kind of think they would go tackle at 34.
That's the guy they would go with. I don't know
right?
if it was
Okay.
mine, but yeah.
3rd round pick, Chris. If he's there, I love him. I take Jalen McMillan from Washington with the 3rd pick.
Yeah.
3rd round pick, because I think the kid's going to be an absolute stud. And the other kid I would take, possibly, it'd be one of those two. He's going to go earlier than everyone thought. They thought he'd be a 4th round pick. He had a great combine, some good workouts. Jerry Rice's kid is going to be sitting there in the 3rd round.
I like that too.
Brendan Rice is going to be sitting there, and now you get Jerry, and now you get Jerry on the sideline. Yeah,
coach it right out. You know what? In any other draft, he probably would be much higher.
Yes, you're right. He would be higher in any other draft. You're right, Chris.
Oh, okay. And then the last thing before we get to some of this drama, a lot of talking about Minnesota. Okay. If Minnesota's holding the 11th and the 23rd pick, okay, if there's going to be discussion with Minnesota, to me, this has got to be a Godfather offer. It's got to be that kind of thing. Where
what by Godfather offer? What do you mean?
Justin Jefferson. Rather than give me a 1st round next year, see, because the theory that's going around the league now is what you and I have been saying. If they let us pick guys, that we would have a constant next guy in the draft where you don't have to pay a wide receiver after year 3, after year 4. You don't have to do it because we're going to have another guy coming right behind them. Well, there are GMs that are starting to feel the same way. And so these guys that are coming due, the Ayuks, the Higgins, the Justin Jeffersons, they don't want to pay these guys. He's ripe to be traded, even though they say they won't do it. I think they're full of crap. So to me, I'll tell you what a deal is. Give me the 11th, give me the 23rd, give me Justin Jefferson. You don't have to give me a 1st next year.
Okay, so I take Jefferson.
Done.
I draft Penix at 11.
All the way at 11, huh? You taking him? Couldn't you take him at 23rd?
Yeah, you could, but you're running a risk, Chris. Now you're going to get up capital to go back up. I wouldn't waste the capital, because I think you need as much capital as you can get. This team has a lot of holes. I would take it's a little high, but I would take Penix at 11, and at 23, you take the best tackle that's there.
What I would do is I trade the 11th pick so that I can get I trade the 11th pick to get to 18.
Okay.
And gather some more capital, 2nd round capital. I take Penix at 18. I take a tackle at 23, and at 34, I take McConkey.
Okay.
Now you have a team.
I agree with that, but I'm going to tell you something, Chris. I have a funny feeling Penix ain't going to last to 18.
Really?
I just think a lot of teams need quarterbacks, Chris. I think a lot of teams, now that it's getting closer to the draft, they're doing more of an analysis of these quarterbacks, and I think the kid's going to go higher than 20. He's going to go between 15 and 20. So
I don't think he should, but
I don't.
Maybe he will.
But Chris, you know how it is with quarterbacks. So if you go down to 18, it's going to be close on whether somebody takes him before you pick at 18.
So we'll see.
I want no part of Bo Nix. So
no, I don't either. And they were talking about Spencer Rat.
I don't want no part of him.
And I mean, if he was later on in the draft somewhere, okay, maybe take a flyer on him.
Chris, day 3, 5th round, you know what? 5th round. Yeah. If he's there, I take a flyer on Joe Milton.
Yep. Yeah. Bazooka Joe. The only problem with him is he flips his wrist and throws 80 yards. The only problem with him is when he throws a short pass, he also throws it 80 yards.
Listen. That's why he's a third day project. You put him on the bench and let him learn.
Well, listen, I want to talk about some of the drama, just some names. We talked no defense in our preparation, but a couple of names to look for, because linebackers, we need some off-ball linebackers. If you're talking about day 3 guys, because really that's what we're going to be talking about if we take the linebackers. Talking about J.D. Bertrand from Notre Dame, good, tough, competitive, great size. He can run in the 4-3-3-4 scheme. Guy like that. Talk about a guy like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., okay? Got the pedigree. He's a reach, but I like his instincts. And LaFeu, am I saying that right? LaFeu from Notre Dame, another guy in a 4th round that you can look at as a good off-ball linebacker. And there'll be some good corners and safeties out there too, Mark, to look at.
We'll talk about next week.
Yeah, from 4th round down, okay? And then, that'll be relevant for next week's show, because when it airs, they'll be in those rounds. So, Mark, came out this week that Bob Kraft basically dogged Bill Belichick with Arthur Blank. So he was right to get that job. They brought, they met on this huge yacht, and it met Arthur Blank with Bill Belichick. Belichick evidently told him, I don't need all the power, right?
Yeah.
I don't need all the power. And then Kraft, they say Kraft, this is the Wickersham, another Wickersham report. I mean, the friggin' Patriots are putting this guy in the Media Hall of Fame. So he comes out and says Kraft called Blank, not the other way around, and basically told him, you'll never get a warm conversation out of him. He can't be trusted. He's underhanded, and he's very, 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 very arrogant, Mark. Did that cost him the job? What do you think about that look?
Well, Chris, it had to have, because supposedly it was almost like a done deal. He was the number one. He was their top choice. So everyone thought it was going to be done, Chris, within a week of the season. Like that first week that everybody started to go through their coaching interviews. Everybody thought it was a done deal. Atlanta was going to hire him immediately, and they didn't hire him. There had to be a reason, Chris, why they didn't hire him, unless he came across as arrogant to Blank in the interview. But I think Belichick knows how to present himself when he has to. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. So it had to have been something. Kraft had to have reached out to him. Maybe Blank reached out to Kraft. I don't know. But something had to be said, Chris. I tend to agree with that. From him to go to their top choice to nothing.
To Raheem Morris.
Yes.
Really? Still a defensive guy, too.
Absolutely.
So, and Steve from Colorado emailed in and said a bunch of things, but one of the main things he talked about, it's a bad look for the Crafts. This is another bad look for the Crafts. And Steve, you're right. It is. And so, Mark, to me, it's this. I don't know if it cost them the job. These people question, is this a true statement? Is this a true story? Did this really happen? Look, when I hear things like, you're never going to have a warm conversation with Bill, that sounds like Kraft, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That sounds like something Kraft would say. To me, I don't know if it cost him the job. I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe that's too strong.
But I can tell you this. Kraft, I'll tell you why this happened. Kraft did not want, this egomaniac did not want, I said it, he did not want the same thing to happen that happened with Brady. He did not want Belichick going anywhere and having any success. Why? Because who's left holding the bag?
Yeah.
He's left holding the bag. And he's the guy that everybody's starting to turn on now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And Chris, but he can only do that for so long. Like if there's openings next year, like you had brought up to me this week. Well, if Dallas becomes a vacancy, he's not picking the phone up to tell Jerry Jones anything, because Jerry Jones is his own man and he's going to do whatever the hell he wants after he sits down with Belichick. He don't care what Kraft tells him. You know what I mean? And that's probably the truth. My prediction is all this talk about Dallas. Listen, the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Philly, maybe. Yeah. Dallas. The next coach of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be primetime. You mark my words. And it'll be a show. And that's what Jerry Jones is about. It'll be a show every weekend. And that's what Jerry Jones is about. He'll take out the Brinks truck for primetime, trust me.
And then you're going to see a real show if that happens, because you tune into us and I'm going to melt down. I'm going to lose my mind. I've been talking about Dion for 3 years, Mark, being, he wins. That's it. But yeah, listen, I don't know. All I know is this. This is a bad look, another bad look for the Crafts in a laundry list of bad looks. And I'm starting to, not starting. You and I have been on this for the last 8 months, that Kraft doesn't have enough egg on his face for what went down here. We went through it all. And this is just one more example. He's got a lot of power in the league, Mark. He's got a lot of power, this guy.
Chris.
But didn't everybody know, though? Don't you everybody know that Belichick's arrogant, that Belichick's mean, that he's a robotic kind of guy at times? That's not new to anyone.
No, it's not. No, that's known around the league.
That's why I don't think it may have cost them the job, but I think it didn't help.
It didn't help. Chris, listen, real quick. But also today, they had it's not today. We're airing on Saturday, but this past week they had Elliot Wolf talking about the draft and different and free agency, and he made the comment about Calvin Ridley, Chris. Well, it came down to money, like basically saying we got outbid. Where Kraft said the complete opposite.
Wasn't his girlfriend? It wasn't the girlfriend who didn't want to live, wanted to live in the South.
No. So Elliot Wolf basically said the exact opposite. He said, well, yeah, it was money. It was a money thing,
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
all I know is I'm trying to be calm, but the crafts are coming across like horses' asses right now. Okay, in everything they're doing so far. So we'll see how the draft is handled, and what happens
Chris,
there.
this
So
is an important draft because if people perceive this as being not handled well and an SHIT show, there's going to be a problem.
the biggest draft in 30 years, my friend.
It is. It absolutely
and this is the one. So stay tuned. Pats Nation was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
Okay, listen. It's that time of the year. No, not the NFL draft. We know it's the NFL draft. It's lawn maintenance season. Lawn maintenance. Listen, you know that I have a few pet peeves I'm going to have to talk about today. Now, my neighbors, you know I love my neighbors. I love them. Listen. Everybody's got they're all working. Listen, they're all working. Listen, they're all working on their machinery. Who's got their blowers out? They got their weed whackers. They got their lawnmowers. They got their chainsaws. They got all their stuff to do their maintenance, their yard maintenance, right? They got everything out. They're working on it. They're greasing it up. They're gassing them up, right? Listen. It's called, I've had this conversation so many times before. It's called common decency. It's called having a brain cell in your head and having a clue and not being a moron. Okay? So if you're out there cutting your grass or doing something to your grass in the early spring season, and I'm walking by with my dog, taking her for a walk on a nice spring day, you think you could turn the lawnmower the other way so it don't blow into the street, so it don't blow stuff at me and the dog? Is that too much to ask? A little common courtesy. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. That's common sense. Common sense. Or better yet, you're driving by in your car and they're blowing the stuff. They're blowing stuff into the street. What are you doing? Blow it in your yard and pick it up. You blow it in the street. You got rocks hitting the side of your door, pinging your door, pinging your windshield. Like, are you kidding me? Really? Are you that dumb? Take the blower, blow the damn thing into your yard, and pick it up. You don't blow it into the damn street. Plus the fact you make the neighborhood look like a piece of garbage. Why would you do that? What in your mind would possess you to blow it into the street? I'm confused. Then they're weed whacking. You're weed whacking at the end of your yard that abuts the street, and everything's flying, rocks, everything's flying into the street. So anybody going by, cars, anything, it's just flying. Bing, bing, bing. Like, really? Like, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. This is not that difficult, people. It's not that difficult. I mean, come on. Like, really? Then you got the morons. The morons. It's a Saturday morning. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. They're starting up John Deere's at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You don't got no common decency for your neighbors. They may be resting and sleeping. I don't have a 10-acre lot where there's miles and miles between me and the next house. Like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Listen, have a cup of coffee, put on Saturday morning cartoons, get a later start. Do something. Do something else. Do not cut your grass at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm beside myself. It's lawn maintenance season, and I've already had enough. I already had enough. Had enough.
Do they still do Saturday morning cartoons?
I don't know.
The USA Cartoon Express. Loved it.
It doesn't
Space
matter.
Ghost,
Chris and I
Herculoids.
find them. We find them. We go on Apple TV. We find the old cartoons.
Space Ghost, Herculoids, Pac-Man one. There was Pole Position. At 7 a.m. was Devlin. Remember that one?
Yeah,
Devlin
yeah,
with
but-
the motorcycle. Mark, let me ask you a question.
Listen.
Do you live on a farm? I mean, you're
No.
talking about chainsaw. Who the hell is using chainsaws, John Deere rider tractor? I mean, where do you live? You live on? I mean, I've been there. Why is it necessary to pull out a chainsaw over there?
Listen, they're cutting.
That's
trees
like
there.
you pull out a chainsaw, you need to start calling somebody at that point. It's like you reach that point.
No. These people think Chris. No. They're cutting branches down off trees. Nope.
The next thing you're gonna see is a branch come flying, go smash through your window, like in Christmas Vacation. From the tr-
I love this. I can't stand this time of the year. Can't stand it.
Joe.
Then you got the guy. He's got an oxygen mask, for Christ's sake. He's pushing along. Look, call somebody to cut your grass.
This is the guy he pushed down. The guy with the
I
mask.
didn't push him down. He fell on his own. He
The
fell,
wind-
the poor guy.
The wind blew him over.
Yeah. Who's the one that threw the leaves in your yard?
Oh yeah, I can't. I failed to. I can't say who that was. That's a. I don't wanna- I gotta listen. I gotta be neighborly. I can't
You
tell you
still
who that
gotta
was.
live there.
You, neighborly.
Joe,
You're
yes,
neighborly
Joe.
now? So
Yeah.
hey,
I don't-
who doesn't? Let me ask you. It's what year is it? 2024.
2024. Yes.
Do you don't have a bag on the lawnmower? You don't put
Chris,
a bag on there where it catches it? They're
yeah,
shooting it out into the street?
Chris, you would think. Yeah, you would think, right? Wouldn't you think?
Right?
Yeah.
That's what drives me crazy, Chris. Drives me crazy.
Well, so let the dog go in their yard and do his business.
Nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't do that.
You know why? Because you'll be walking by the next week and the guy will be cutting the lawn with no bag, and that piece of thing will shoot right out at you and hit you in the face. That's why that'll happen. That was, Yeah, Mark, listen, I agree with you.
So you're lucky. Where you are, there's no grass, right? Is
Oh
it
yeah.
grass?
Oh, I'm lucky, huh? Yeah, I'm lucky. Yeah. You want to know what I did before the show today? Okay. What I did, I had to do when I got home. It's the dogs. The walking. See, we don't have the grass out here. We have decorative rock is in
Yeah,
the
right.
yard. So it's like that 1/2-inch rock that you
Yep.
So there's been all kinds of issues, and this is a nice neighborhood. There've been all kinds of issues with the dog and the defecation of the dogs and on the people's ground not picking it up and all this other crap. Okay, so I got cameras all over the place because I'm catching them all. I'm going to staple their ass shut when I see them again. So don't talk about neighbors because I hate them all. I hate every one of them. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to look at anybody. Leave me alone. So you know what I did when I got home today?
Yes.
What I see is all this rock on the street from my yard. It's all like kicked onto the street, like every so often. What is that? Now they're picking it up. They picked it up, but guess what? When the dogs go to the toilet, they take their paws and they scratch out the rock, and the rock goes onto the street. And there I am. I look like I live in Hobo Central over here. You know what I mean? So I got the push broom, and I'm pushing the thing on. I'm gonna go look at the video footage later. See who it was. Mark.
Now, Chris, didn't you say the other day you were doing that and you saw a diamondback?
Yeah, I saw about a 3 to 4 foot snake in my backyard. I had the blower. Going, the echo. I'm like, but I have land, so I blow it all, and I see it come flying by, slithering by. It's
I would have passed out.
Well, I jumped a little bit. It was about a foot from my foot. My boot.
I would have passed out right there. Passed right out.
But it didn't bother me. It's when they coil up and you hear the thing start. You hear that? Yeah, you're gonna go be somewhere else.
Nope.
That's what I'm dealing with. Snakes. I'm gonna take the snake.
Joe.
When I watch that video footage later, I'm gonna take that freaking snake and I'm gonna go put it in somebody's yard. I'm gonna put it in their bed.
Joe, my wife was pregnant with my son. We were down at Beavertail down in Newport, and we're sitting near just looking at the water. She wanted to go for a ride. I don't know. She's pregnant, and we're sitting in these chairs. And the snake is, I don't know. I guess it was a big grass snake. I don't know. Goes in between my legs under the chair and slithers up. I picked the chair up, flipped it up, flipped out of the chair, went to the car, closed the chair, shut the door, locked it. She's pregnant, carrying the chair back to the truck. She didn't know what the heck went on. She gets to the truck. She wanted to kill me. She said, "What the hell did you do?" I said, "There was a snake." She said, "You left your pregnant wife there." I said, I don't do snakes.
What he really did is he took his pregnant wife and he put her in front of him. She put her in front of him as a shield, and he ran away from the grass snake. So you would have died if you saw this rattlesnake. You would have lost your mind.
I'm absolutely petrified of snakes.
So, Mark, good stuff. If any of you neighbors are listening out there, stay away from Mr. Catone. Stay away from, keep your grass away from your leaves, your chainsaws, your riding mowers, anything else, blowers, anything else you could think of. Keep it away from Mark because he's going to take that stuff and push it back into your yard. Good stuff, Mark. Catone's comments was presented by Corso and Catone. Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Sponsorships are available. Corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, we come back. It's playoff time. B's and C's is next. No flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's
crap
it.
What is wrong with you?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone. So, Mark, playoffs are here. They're here for basketball, for hockey, and we want to talk about it.
Listen, we've
we're
been
ready
waiting
to
long
go.
enough, Chris. We've been waiting long enough.
Well, let's not wait anymore. B's and C's, Joe.
Hit it! The Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are.
That is my favorite wash.
It is the favorite wash, and I love when the Bruins he shows Milan Lucic on there. He was one of my favorite Bruins. That tough son of a bitch he was, huh? So anyway, what do you want to do? You want to talk Celtics for? We know the Bruins first round matchup. Who do you want to talk first?
We could talk Celtics first.
Okay, so Celtics, they're still going on that play. Well, when you listen to this, the play-in tournament will be over. It's Thursday for us, so you got one game left, and it's going to be Miami hosting Chicago, the Bulls. We're playing the winner of that game. So, first of all, who do you think it's going to be? Because now Jimmy Butler is going to be out.
He's out for the rest of the playoffs.
He's done. So, what do you think? You think Chicago takes?
Chicago lost a player too in last game, but I think Chicago, Chris, will probably battle through and win. And Chicago's a good matchup, Chris. We beat up on Chicago all year. So
3-0 against them. Yeah.
If it ends up being Chicago, even if it's Miami, Chris, without Butler, we should now blow through the first round.
The one thing I don't like about Miami.
Yep.
Okay. The reason why I would say if you prefer somebody, and I don't want to hear these Celtics, all the Celtics. I heard it on the radio this week. The green teamers, and they would get criticized for it too. It don't matter who we play. We'll play anybody. We'll play. Okay, got it. I still don't want to see Miami. There's just something about that team. Look, when we played them on Super Bowl Sunday, you and I watched that game together. And they played Miami on Super Bowl Sunday, right?
Butler didn't play in that game.
Butler didn't play in that game. And I don't remember if Hero played in that game or if he was just back. I don't remember. But that was a nail biter. That was a nail biter right to the end. And Porzingis played, Holiday played. I don't know if Brown played. But anyway, the point is, Smoltstrom bothers me because he always seems to have something. He always seems to, when we get into crunch time, you get into late game situations, things like that. He's got something. He's a good coach, And even without Butler, the team, Adebayo and Hero, and these guys just seem to play better against Boston, right?
They absolutely do. They do. And listen, I think if we played Miami, even without Butler, Chris, would probably win a game. Maybe two. I don't know if they'd win two, but they'd probably win a game, and they'd be competitive. Probably they'll be more competitive than Chicago. You're absolutely right.
Well, what bothers you about when you look at the Chicago man? Now they're 3-0 against both teams this season. the Celtics. So when you look at Chicago in that matchup, is there anything that bothers you?
No, they'll
Not
sweep.
one thing.
They'll sweep Chicago, Chris. They'll sweep them.
But
Well,
you
yeah,
don't like this. You don't like this, do you? You don't
No, I
like
don't,
if
because I told you earlier, Chris, when we both found out Butler was out. Who's going to test them? So where are they going to get some playoff grit and toughness where they get pushed and smacked in the face and punched in the face? Who's going to do that in the Eastern Conference, Chris? Because Joel Embiid's about 50%. He's playing, but he's not healthy. Who's going to do that to them? Because you don't want to roll into the championship, and now I'll just use Denver. Now you're playing Denver, who's battle tested because they've had to fight their way through the West. Now you're going to get into a war with them. They're ready for battle. I don't know if you're ready for battle. You know what I mean?
Well, look, if you look at how the season ended, okay, and you look at the league standings, Mark. So you got Boston that ran away pretty much. They were 7 games up. And I'm talking about the league. Western, Eastern, the whole league. When you look past Boston, this is what you have, to Mark's point. The next teams down the list: OKC, Denver, Minnesota, LA Clippers, Dallas. Then you get to New York, who was by 14 games out.
And by the way, New York lost
1,
their
2,
best
3,
inside
4,
player,
5.
Chris. By the way, Chris, they lost their best inside player, Julius Randle. So they're not the same team either.
Right. So, and we don't know what Giannis is going to be.
No, we don't.
So you're talking 5. It's the Celtics, and then the next 5 best teams in the league are in the West. Luckily, you only have to play 1. But, Mark, the point is, you're right. Who's testing them? I would imagine it'll be Milwaukee. I mean, that's still going to be. We've still got players there. Giannis will play. I mean, he's going to be back probably by the second round.
He should be. Yeah, he should
through,
be.
which they should.
And if they don't need him, they may not even play him, Chris. If they start out a game or so without him and they win, like I think they will hold him out as long as they can until they think they need him. If they can rest him if they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, Chris, without playing him, and now he comes back against the Celtics, that would be a best case scenario for them to get him as much rest as possible. But I don't know if they can do that.
Then turn your attention inward. Okay.
Yep.
We've talked the Achilles heels of this team is the 3-point shot. Is too many of them. Too many. The reliance on it. Joe Mazzulla thinking, hey, the more we put up, the higher score we're going to get. All that nonsense that relates to it, and their lack of not ability because they got it, but their lack of willingness to go to another route to win. What else? I mean, what does this team have to do to screw this up?
In the Eastern Conference, Chris, I honestly don't think they can screw this up, Chris. As I analyze these teams, I honestly don't think there's anybody that's going to challenge them. I mean, even Milwaukee, okay, yeah. When push comes to shove, and if Boston's healthy and all their guys are playing, Chris, Giannis is going to be maybe at 60%, 70%. He's not going to be 100%. Milwaukee's not going to challenge them. They'll run Milwaukee off the court. I don't think they've played Milwaukee, Chris, where both teams have put all their starters on the floor yet this year. The playoffs would be the first time if Giannis plays. Milwaukee can't handle Boston, Chris.
Lillard, the same thing. We talked about that trade and said,
Yeah.
I think Boston's getting Holiday's a better situation than Lillard. Remember?
I agree with that, Chris. I don't think the thing that scares me, Chris, again, like I said, they're not going to be battle tested. I would love to see them get into a couple of games where they're playing a good team in the East. Their threes aren't falling. Can they figure out another way to win that game without the threes? I'd like to see if that happens. Can they do it? I don't know if there's a team in the East that's going to do it. I want to see it before they play the West, Chris. I want to see it before the final. You're not shooting threes. You're struggling from the outside. Yeah. Can Mazzulla adjust and win the game? They haven't done it all year.
The 3 things that are a problem to me. Wow, within that. We already talked about the 3-point issue. Not allowing Holiday to touch the ball and at the end of the game. Not allowing him to be the facilitator, be the guy who's running that offense. That's why he's there. And when you don't do that, you lose. That's a problem. Tatum showing up at the end. Okay? Their percentage when they're tied or down or just up by 5 points or so within 2 minutes of the game, yeah, Mark, they're one of the worst in the league. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are problems. And Missoula's decision making. in the final seconds of the game.
No
Those are the
timeouts,
three
Chris.
things.
They don't use the timeouts.
Right. Those are the three things to look for, Celtics fans, to see how they can screw this up. And flipping to the other side now, looking at the Bruins, we know who it's going to be. It's going to be Toronto. Okay, which a lot of people wanted.
I did. I wanted them, Chris.
And so here we are, because we beat up on Toronto all the time. They played them 4 times. They're 4-0 against them.
Toronto doesn't play the style of hockey, Chris, that gives the Bruins trouble. That's why I like the matchup. They're not they're not physical. They're not gonna go into corners and dig. They're not gonna trap you in your own end. They don't play that style, Chris, that the Bruins have a lot of trouble with, especially in the playoffs.
In every game but one, I mean, face-offs. The face-offs were a problem, in my opinion, this season for them.
It was, absolutely was.
And they lost. They lost the face-off battle against this team 3 out of the 4 times. Now, okay, they won the goalie battle. I mean, you had saves. You had guys 33 saves, 32 saves, 32 saves. 37 saves in a game. So I think that you got the goal. You got the goalie edge. To me, looking at this game, looking at this series, because they should beat this team, but there's the karma of wanting to lose to get to them. If you buy into that crap.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if I buy into that.
The biggest problems are the defense in their own end, and it's been the same all season. What's our defense going to be like in our own end? Are we going to be able to get guys out in front of the net?
Chris, I don't know if that'll hurt them against Toronto. That's why I like the matchup.
Right. And again, and it's always that first round matchup in hockey that you got to be really concerned about. And so I think if they get through, I still don't like them against Carolina. I still don't like them against Florida. But I mean, so to me,
Chris, what do they do with the goalies?
This is the thing. I mean, I think they're going to platoon them. I really do. It's just weird. I mean, the over-under for how many times they change goalies game to game is like 3.5. I can't imagine it goes over that. I mean, just in a 7-game series, how are you changing them game to game more than 3 times? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be really tough to say, okay, I just won game 1. Now I'm going to switch, go to game 2. I won game 2. I'm going to switch now for game 3. That's tough to do, although that's what they used to. But more important than that to me is, again, what I said, defense in their own end. What you said, Mark, all season long. Can they elevate their play when other teams do? Can they do it? Because they haven't shown.
And I don't think they can, Chris. I think they get lucky with this matchup because I don't know if Toronto can elevate their game. We know Carolina will. We know Florida will. I don't know if Toronto is capable of elevating their game, so they may get lucky, Chris, with this first-round matchup.
Yeah. And again, center play is important. And I've been happy with the way Coyle's played, Zaka's played down the stretch. I think the faceoffs have gotten better. I think the way they play back in their own end and they get back is better, right? I mean, I've seen that, so I feel a little better about that in any series, But the transition defense, Mark, not enough people talk about it. This is like, because you see Pastrnak, you know how he likes to play and diddle around and at the top of the blue line in the offensive end, where he's trying to carry in, he gets stripped, the ball, the puck goes across the blue line, a no-look pass across the blue line, and then the ball gets turned, the puck gets turned over, and our centers and forwards can't get back on transition, and we're in trouble. I mean, those are the keys, right?
Yeah, it is. And if you remember, Chris, the last game we played against Carolina, they destroyed us. It was like they elevated. They did exactly what you just said. They excelled in all those areas we didn't, and they manhandled us. So my prediction, Chris, they win round 1. Who would they face in round 2? Do we know?
No, I don't know. I don't
Not
know
sure.
who it would be.
My
Maybe
prediction
Carolina.
is, Chris, my prediction is we make it through round 1. I don't know about what you think. My prediction is we make it through round 1. I think it'll be probably like 4-2, 4-1, but we make it through round 1. I'll give Toronto a game, maybe 2 at most. I think it's 4-1 we win. I don't even think it'll go 6. We'll beat them in 5.
I agree with that. And the Celtics will be tipping off probably Sunday. And
Sunday.
I got them winning that, and I got a 4-2 in that. I got a team winning 2 games, maybe 2.
Okay. If it's
maybe
Chicago,
2. 4-1, 1 game.
Chris,
one
if
game.
it's Chicago, I think it's a sweep, but I'll give Chicago 1 game. It's 4-1 against Chicago.
They win in 5.
Yep, they'll win in 5.
Very good. So stay tuned. Let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. But Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Get on, watch. All our shows are up for you. Make sure you subscribe and come back next week, noon Eastern. We're going to have all the playoff talk, Catone's comments, anything you bring to the table. We will always be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.